What is up, guys and gals? Welcome to another episode of the Nonsense Review. I'm your host, as always, Devon, and joining me, equally as always, is Enid.
Edvig.
Oh, it's Edvig, fuck. Damn,
yeah,
my joke is ruined.
I've got the suspicion that everyone got the name Edvig. Either that or it was the same actor, but yeah, we'll get to that. Hello, everyone.
No, as we know, this is actually Rick. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different in that we're using one of our episodes in hands, but we're still recording our weeks, so you've still got a bit of news to look forward to. Rick will either dive into why we're doing that later, or he won't. It's up to him. But yes, today we're going to be using our Adventure Time episode in hand, the one featuring the debut of the Earl of Lemongrab, or Earl Lemongrab, whatever you want to call him. Just a little disclaimer, as I said I was going to have to do in the first place. Back when we recorded this, Justin Roiland was in hot water, so we were a bit negative on him. We didn't say anything offensive or condemn him, but we were just like, we know there's issues going on and it's a bit weird. Obviously, those issues have now been cleared up, so ignore all of that if you don't mind.
Yep. We'll be the first to eat crow when something like that turns out to be false, and yeah, it's this is our second time eating humble pie. We are sorry, Justin Roiland, for anything that we may have said that may end up being not in the most positive light.
Yeah, it's one of those where we weren't positive, but I don't think we ever crossed the line of saying, he's a piece of shit, don't forgive him. I don't think we went into that territory. If we did, I double apologise, but I'm pretty sure we didn't. Anyway, Rick, you know what time of day it is. It's time to discuss our weeks, and you take it away.
Yeah, we've had 2 weeks in between, as you may know, because, there was a pre-record last week, and it was because these guys, including Devon, were up with me. The idea was we were going to see Sabaton and fill the other days with other forms of merriment. On the first day, we didn't do a great deal, apart from, other than just Warhammer World.
Oh yeah, that's nothing, yeah.
Yeah. I just met those guys casually at Warhammer World, and a fun time was had by all. I've got a fucking ton of photos that I took of the little minis in the cabinets, most of which mirrored, so most of them have me looking like a lemon, just trying to range find on my phone.
Yeah, you might have noticed it during the time, Rick, but when I was taking photos, I was basically doing yoga poses to try and keep my face out the shot.
Yep.
But yeah, the thing with Warhammer World is we did have a bit of a fun moment where our mutual friend who was with us was just like, okay, now we've got to find Rick. And I just pointed at Rick, who was just in the door, and went, I'm pretty sure that's him. Yeah,
I think it's like my third photo that I took has you doing that in an incredibly blurry background.
It was a fun time. I don't know if you have a particularly favourite exhibit, but I have two that I remember. Obviously, I always wanted to see in the flesh the iconic. It's iconic to me because it's been in White Dwarf 700 fucking times, and that is the slaying of Sanguinus. In the throne room.
Yeah. The Horus and the Emperor and a dead Sanguinius. Like, it's a lot smaller than a lot of the other dioramas that they've done, because they've basically got people whose main job it seems to be to just add stuff to Warhammer World these days. And we did manage to get to talk to one of the staff members. She was looking at throughput of people on the day, but also she did work on a lot of the dioramas, so she had a bit of insight into things like, okay, this bone staircase that just looks cool, it was originally going to be taller, but then it didn't fit with the rest of the diorama, so someone had to take it out and shave bits off of it. I thought
the story was when they were putting it together, it broke, so they made it shorter. But bear in mind, I caught the tail end of your conversation because I was only there when she was complaining about people touching things.
Sure. I know they had to shave something off of it.
Fair enough.
I think it was a thing of like measure twice, cut once, and whoever measured twice didn't measure twice, and it still comes up as a point of contention between the modelers as to who effed up, and I think they've got a general idea of who it might have been through process of elimination, but it doesn't seem to get resolved. But yeah, there were some really cool dioramas there, like, and you were the first to point it out to me, actually, that a lot of them have hidden parts. Like, if you go around the back, sometimes there's a tunnel, and the tunnel is fully modelled.
Yeah, you must have the patience. Like, I consider myself a patient dude because I do Warhammer. I used to like fishing, not so much anymore. These are all patient hobbies. But then I look at those dioramas and I go, I wouldn't have the patience for that.
It's a weird one where if you're building it up from scratch and you have like a very good idea of how you're going to make it. It's probably not that much different from doing normal Warhammer, plus basically some internal Lego instructions of what you're going to do with the like bits of scenery that you've made.
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I know I get annoyed when I do Lego because sometimes I fuck up a step and I don't know how I fucked up a step and I have to go back 5 steps and that infuriates me.
Yeah. Yeah, like when you sausage finger a piece of Lego and it pings off into the universe.
I've never... Because of the state of the areas I work in, and I know that if something goes on the floor, it will go missing, either because a dog will eat it or because of the colour of the carpet. I've never done that yet. Knock on wood, I never will, but I'm sure, like, the longer I go without incident, the more likely it is to happen.
I too have a Lego tray. You have things in a high-sided tray, and if it pings off, hopefully the tray catches it.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah. But yeah, Warhammer World. You bringing up the member of staff we spoke to. Boy, I wish they did guided tours of this place. I understand why they don't, but I wish they did.
Yes. I can see them doing it for like if you book out the place for like an afternoon with your company or whatever, I can see them doing a guided tour. But generally, most of the exhibits have enough things written down that you can just give yourself the tour. Like, there was even like blister packs of Chaos Dwarfs just to taunt us. Because like there was one of the things in there was the Warhammer Fantasy boxes through the ages, going right the way back to when there was just like 13 miniatures.
Yeah, man. Matt and I had a bit of a memory lane moment where it's like, oh, it's the Battle of Drawson Pass, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's about when we started the hobby. I think you always sort of like, now there's been so many fucking starter sets that they all kind of blend together to a certain degree, but I think everyone knows what the starter sets were when they got into the hobby.
Yes, and also people will remember seeing box styles. So I remember pretty much most of the box styles for Warhammer Fantasy because some of them just didn't get updated models for a long time.
Yeah.
So the old box style just stayed on the shelves.
Yeah.
I think there were 4 concurrent styles at the time that I was playing Fantasy, up to and including the one that was like full box art rather than pictures of the minis.
Yeah, I remember those days.
There was a sandwich of that, actually, because it started with basically full box art, which was a lot more, pastel and not quite cartoony, but more cartoony than what it ended up being. And then they had, like, a low-quality picture of minis, then a higher-quality picture of minis, then back to full box art.
And then nowadays what they like to do is they like to do a picture of minis with an artistic background.
Sure. And yeah, they also like to sell these full box arts if they still do any, because they still do it for the starter sets, don't they?
Usually it's relegated to the codexes.
Okay, codexes and starter boxes and all that. Not the army starter boxes, but like the full-on 1v1 starter boxes,
I haven't seen...
comes with a rulebook.
I haven't seen artwork on the front of one of those 1v1 box starter sets for a long time.
And they now sell those art prints for 35 quid at Warhammer World.
I was well gutted, because I looked at those prints and I went, those are nice. 35 quid?
Yes.
Fuck off.
Yeah, the one with like all the Chaos Generals, like I thought that looked really neat. But yeah, for 35 quid, that's a lot of printer ink.
I mean, I go to Comic-Con regularly and I buy art regularly. If it's 35 quid, I expect it to be signed by the fucking artist.
Or an art book.
Well, not when it's these little indie guys. No, not so much, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. If it's something that's like printed multi times, then once you get past a certain price, you kind of expect more than just one print, Mm-hmm. But yeah, other things at Warhammer World. We went to Bugman's. I think we all got some kind of burger there.
Yeah, it was decent grub, actually. I was expecting it to be shit.
Yeah, it was reasonable. It's basically like if Spoons cut down their menu to just like 3 or 4 things and then did those well, it's basically that, and not a million miles away from the same price either. Like for a pub, for pub grub at a venue that is a tourist trap, it was incredibly reasonable. But yeah, what else was at Warhammer World? Oh yeah, they had a lot of Forge World things on display, stuff that you can just buy, and this is really uncommon because they tend not to show you these things, because if they show it in a regular Games Workshop, then it's just teasing you, because if you want to buy Forge World stuff in a Games Workshop, or in a Warhammer shop as they're called now, you have to order it it through them.
Yep.
Which at that point you might as well order it to your house.
Yeah, we used to have a thing with the old Games Workshop manager of he'd push really hard for you to order something to be delivered to store because then he gets the credit for the sale. And it's just like, but then I have to come to the store, which is miles away from my house.
Yep. Like, even paying for postage, it's probably cheaper than the £4 train that it's going to take to get to the place.
Well, here's a fun fact, Rick. If it's over £50, you don't pay postage unless it's spray paint.
No.
But hey, guess what? If it's spray paint, you can find it in the fucking store anyway.
Yeah, true. I remember ordering things from mail order exactly twice. One of them was to make a custom Chaos Lord from like when they updated Raptors to be cool, I gave one of those a Typhus scythe, and that was like my Chaos Lord for a while. And the other one was getting Inquisitor parts, because Inquisitor was, I think, one of the better products that they put out in a long time, and they basically just abandoned that miniature scale because they realized that, okay, making Titans at this scale gives us more money, and making Titans at a small scale also gives us money. But that said, a lot of the Titan stuff they had on display was cool. I think one of my favorite dioramas that they did, other than the obvious one of the Horus one, which you brought up, was I really liked the Titan Workshop.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was like, actually I think it was an Imperial Knight, but still, the idea was it was a big old Imperial Knight / Titan, like the lines are blurred when you get to a certain size, and then unblurred when you go beyond that size because it's obviously a Titan. Just half dismantled, and there was is it Belisarius Call, the Super Slugman Skitari guy? Yeah, you could tell that it was something worth his while because he was there.
Yeah. But aside from the dioramas, the most fun thing about the actual experience, you have to pay £7.50 to go into the Expedition Hall, which is nothing. But yeah, they have every model that is currently in rotation painted to, they call it heavy metal, but painted very well to a great standard, just on display.
I felt really bad near the end when there was just this really well painted Ultramarines army, and I'm like,
yeah,
this belongs to a person. I'm sure it's painted well, it's good, but I've seen Ultramarines like 6 times during this exhibit.
We've seen 3 different Robot Girly Mans.
Yeah. When in doubt, Robot Girly Man. And by the same token, when in doubt, there's an Abaddon here.
Yeah, I think the last thing we should really talk about as far as Warhammer World is concerned is the big fuck off one, shall we?
I will bring up one other thing before that, though.
Go on.
That they did intersperse among the exhibits the same plaque over and over again of, you may notice how these are all painted differently. That's because they can be painted differently. If you want to paint them differently, do so. It's a way for you to exhibit your creativity. If you want to come up with your own lore, that's even better. It gets you thinking, it gets you interested in the hobby in your own way, and we're all for that.
Oh, absolutely. They had display cases specifically of just, alright, granted it's Space Marines, it's vanilla as fuck, but who cares? That's their target. It's just like, hey, Space Marines are easy. Like, I'm not knocking people who do it, it's just, that's a fact. It's the easiest one to get into.
Yeah, because there's lots of big, wide, sprawling shapes.
Yeah, I love painting Space Marines for that very reason. They're easy.
Yeah. Shoulder pads, legs, go.
Pretty much, man. And they would have the same model about 12 times, just painted differently, and it's like, yeah, do what you want. You have some I wouldn't say it's crazy, but you know, the people who do 4 segments and have it in like a upper left, lower right, same colour scheme, lower left, upper right, same colour scheme, those people are crazy.
Yeah. Having a divide is incredibly difficult to do.
It's incredibly difficult to do well.
Patience. Yes. It's incredibly easy to do poorly, because all you have to do is just go half and half and see if you can do something like that. But like doing it well, yeah, it's the kind of thing that you can do a lot easier in fabric than you can in paint.
Yeah, which also doesn't make any sense because the Space Marine armor is meant to be made of either some weird, really high quality plastic or metal in universe, depending on what fucking year you're in.
Yep. But yeah, the big one. What was this? The sacking of Angelus Prime or something, was it?
I have no idea what it was called. It was big. It was impressive. It gave me vertigo.
Yeah. The thing that I didn't like about this, and I think we all brought it up, was the RGB. It looked so much better when it was just in natural light, or at least white light. When it was like super pink or super green or super red, you missed a lot more.
I will
which
say,
I think was part of the idea, because that was this is the zone where you can spot an assassin, win an assassin.
Yeah, which by the way is worth £15, so it's not a big deal.
No, but it's also nice to have, like, if you have Hawkeyes and you can spot the assassin and you're the first one that day, then you win that model.
It's not even Hawkeyes, though. It's just Where's Waldo in 3D.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those where I will give credit to the red lighting, because the Chaos Forces looked incredibly good under red lighting, but boy, was it a bitch for everything else.
Yes.
Just for a sense of scale, by the way, the highest point off the floor this model got to was 25 meters.
Yes. This is as tall as a lot of houses. There was actually like 2 full floors, and it encroached upon a third.
Yeah.
So yeah, about the size of most houses.
Okay, I don't think that's true. A room in a house.
Okay. The height of most houses.
I don't know. Again, a floor of a house, I think.
Well, it went up. There were 2 floors plus extra, and most houses have.
They weren't real floors, bro. The way the fucking house went, not the house, the slope went. Like, hang on one sec. I've got a tape measure because, of course, I do. I'm looking at a meter. A meter is about
25 meters.
You know what? I think I got the measurements wrong. I think it was 25 feet because there's no way that was meters.
No.
I'm looking at the size of a meter, and I'm like, it wasn't 25 of those. I'm looking at the size of a foot, and yeah. Hey, guess what? I try to use metric whenever I can, and it's weird that some people don't use. You know what? In hindsight, it makes sense that it's in feet because Warhammer's played in inches.
Yeah, to cater towards the Americans, but also, it's fantasy game stuff. Like, I in particular treat feet and inches as fantasy measurements.
Okay, but the actual reason is because the dice has 6 sides.
Yeah, sure.
If you use D10s, it would use centimeters. That's the actual reason.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. Right. It's weird.
Fair enough. I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think we covered Warhammer World pretty well.
Yeah. The next day was York.
Yeah, the dukedom of the paedophile.
Yeah, we didn't meet the paedophile, thankfully.
I don't think he lives
dungeons. No, he doesn't. Like, none of them live where they're the Duke or Duchess or Potato Lord of wherever they are. They don't live there. So yeah, we did the York dungeon, which is basically like 9 rooms of a LARPer doing historical horrible history style presentations, and the audience gets a slight bit of participation. Do not touch the people, except for, they also shouldn't be able to touch you. They can mess with you. It was Day of the Richards, apparently.
Yeah.
Yes, I got picked on, and the other Richard got picked on twice each. But yeah, they'll pick you out. They'll ask you who you are, where you're from, and they'll say that's stupid, and just mess with you that way. And sometimes they'll sit you on a chair and do something or other.
Or in your case,
make you look like a fool.
Well, you did that to yourself, to be fair.
Okay. I did not know there was a chair in the dark. Like, I thought that he wanted me to sit on like a pile of rocks, which turned out to be books, which turned out to be fiberglass.
Well, to be fair, Rick,
themselves laughing.
It wasn't really a chair so much as a slight groove in the rule. Like,
yeah, it was a groove. Yeah, so it was a groove that I thought was just part of the lectern the guy was like stood behind.
It gave everyone a good giggle, and that's what matters most.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to talk about my fuck up, that's a bit more violent. We had a segment with the Vikings, which was fun, and there was a test of strength sort of thing. I got picked first, and it was like, using one hand, lift this bell, and I was like, alright, I'm going to be proper hard and give it my all, and maybe I can make it shiver a bit, because I know there's a trick to this. And then I did it and fucked up my hand.
Yes. The trick to it is be a little girl, because she picks a little girl to do it second, and the little girl can do it properly.
Yeah, the trick is she's stepping on a button.
Yep.
It was, don't get me wrong, I'm not worried about that. I'm more annoyed at myself for hurting my hand for no reason.
Yep. Yeah, there was that. There was the guy who did the dissections.
Who you think you knew.
I think I know that guy. I don't know. But yeah, he might just have one of those faces. But yes, the actor for the dissections was he made it intentionally creepy, which was pretty funny. And also, was it Matt that got some of the squirt in his eye?
He didn't get any in his eye. He doesn't like water being chucked at him, even though it wasn't even water being chucked. It was, when someone dips their hand in water and then flicks it so a few droplets come off that finger. It was like that, more or less.
Sure.
He was very vocal about not liking the water, because it happened twice, because it happened in another section later on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a way to get you to a bit of audience participation. You're talking about blood. You're talking about bringing blood out of this corpse, and then you flick your hand, and then you get wet. Oh, well, you're going to believe that it's blood for a tiny moment.
It did. It did help that the room went pitch black when he did it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and leeches under your ass.
I fucking hated that so much because it was not a comfortable feeling. But there was a girl in front of us who went, "Ah, me bum," which was very funny. Like, I had to try really hard not to burst out laughing because I didn't want to embarrass the person in question, but it was very funny.
Was that the one that gave the proper good scream as well?
It might have been. It's hard to tell. There was a lot of girls there.
There were.
In the literal sense. I'm not being like, you're a little girl. No, literally, there was teenagers.
Yeah.
That being said, we sort of glossed over the fact that we had to not give a stern talking to, but tell Matt to stop being a bit mean. Before we went in, there was a child who, to be fair, was probably too young for the experience. But there's no age limit on these things. Who burst into tears and was just like, I don't want to go in. And I'm like, that parent is a bad parent if they take that child any further.
Yeah, like I think everyone has been that kid.
Yeah.
Where you, like, as a kid, you want to draw a line somewhere and like you really don't want to be somewhere. And it sucks when it's something that a parent has done for you that's meant to be fun, like from the outside looking in and looking back on things. But when you are that kid and something is actually scary and actually giving you the willies, yeah, you don't want to be there that moment.
I mean, the thing that broke this kid was a guy talking slightly spookily. Granted, he had a projector on his face to make his eyes look a bit weirder, but apart from that, it was just a guy talking about the end times, and it was like, yeah, it's a bit creepy, but if this is upsetting you, they would not have survived. I'm being melodramatic, but you know what I mean, right?
To be honest, I think the kid would have been fine with the people, because the people are people, and the people can tune their performance to the kid. The thing that you can't tune are, because that was wasn't it a mannequin for that one?
No, it was a dude.
Was it a dude? Okay.
Yeah, he had his face painted, and he...
Okay, fair enough.
Like, don't get me... I also thought the projection coming down was doing all the work, but it wasn't. It appeared to actually be a dude.
Okay, because they did it later where it was a pair of mannequin heads that got projections onto them.
Which was a cool fucking effect.
It is. I first remember seeing this when I was like 6, and there was like a little girl sat down and getting stuff projected onto her in a car museum, and I'm like, man, this is a cool effect. And I ended up watching this little girl talk about cars about 6 times. It was great.
Yeah. But I'm specifically thinking of, like, both instances of the ghost parts would have absolutely fucked with that child for life. I think even the Viking bit would have not been great, because there was no control over the terrifyingness on the screen. Like, it was silhouetted, but they essentially showed you a blood eagle, which is a bad day.
Yes. Oh yeah, and they dropped the room.
Yeah, that frightened the fuck out of me. Because I wasn't expecting it. Although, in hindsight, I really should have, because before we went in, they were like, do you have back pain or are you pregnant? Because if so, stand over there. And me, being the fucking idiot I am, was like, did not think that this would be a real issue for anything.
Yes. They did the same in the carriage as well, except the carriage just wiggled a bit.
Oh, yeah, but the carriage was amazing because it felt like you were moving.
It did. It was great.
We'll get to that when we get to that, because that's the finale, really.
Yeah. So, what came after the bits?
Was it before or after the bits where that woman frightened the fuck out of me?
It was just after, I believe.
Yeah, cool, because there was a woman who had to... We went down a hallway, there was no one there, and she's an actress, she wasn't doing it just to be a fucking bastard. She just poked her head round and went, this way, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. You know when someone, like, stamps and starts talking at full volume and it frightens the fuck out of you? Yeah, she did that.
And it got me. I didn't scream, but it was just like bats! I tried not to swear because there was kids around, but I was like, you bastard!
Yeah, it was difficult to censor ourselves when there was kids around, but we did it. We managed it.
Yeah, I don't think I swore once. I did step on someone's foot, but...
I was putting effort in.
Yeah. Actually, was it the ghost?
There was a Hall of Mirrors.
Oh, that was near the end, wasn't it?
The Hall of Mirrors was about the middle bit, I think.
I thought the Hall of Mirrors came just before the Dick Turpin, didn't it? Oh, fuck. It's all getting muddled. Let's just do what we remember as we remember it. We'll do Hall of Mirrors because that fucked us up.
Yeah, everyone was getting fucked up in the Hall of Mirrors, and then eventually, I think the cast members did the thing where they opened one of the ways and then ushered everyone through.
Essentially, it was a big circle, but it wasn't a circle. It was like 2 circles, because I was just like, if I follow the person in front of me, I won't run into a mirror. And then I turned around at one point to see how you were doing, and you weren't there. And I was like, how did that, whatever, just keep following the guy in front. And then eventually you hear the actor go, come this way, you idiots.
Yep, and there's always the fun time when you hear someone bang into a mirror and swear.
I shit you not, Rick.
Always happens.
I was walking around like as if I was holding a shield, because my logic was, if I do walk into a mirror, it's going to hit my arm and not my head.
Yep. Man, isn't it great when you're just walking through one of those and you just see yourself and you're like, oh shit, I went the wrong way.
But yeah, here's another thing, is usually Hall of Mirrors have this trick where they have symbols on the ground, so you know which way to go to get out, because it's for emergency people.
Sure.
This place didn't have that, because that's the first thing I looked for.
I suppose it would be a lot easier if it was like well lit. Part of the effect was that the entire place is not well lit.
No.
And I forgot that it was daytime by the time we finished.
Yeah. There's also no photography inside, apart from the photo they take of you at the beginning, because they want to sell it to you.
Yeah, and that was a cool photo.
Yeah.
But it wasn't it wasn't a 12 quid photo.
I thought it was 8 quid, and you get 3 for 20.
Yeah, fair enough. Either way.
Like,
it wasn't. If it was like 3 quid, I'd have done it, but...
Nothing's 3 quid nowadays.
No. Like, photos have always been expensive.
Yeah.
Like, even when they were a lot cheaper than they are now, it was when a fiver was a lot of money, you know?
Yeah. No, I know. And I remember when I worked at Fort Park, they have a real issue nowadays of people just taking out their phone and taking a picture of the screen with their picture on. And there's not really a lot you can do to defend against that.
Yeah, they learned from that in, like, Disney and all that. They basically only put it up on a really small screen to like preview it to say, oh yeah, is this you? And then you can buy it from there. Like they don't show you the previews of everyone's photos anymore, because and they've got like dudes out there in places that they do, because it was a ride that was built before they changed it.
Yeah.
They have dudes out there, like Men in Black, for instance. They'll have some Men in Black dressed up dudes like pretending to be Men in Black and going, no photography and all that.
Yeah.
Like you can say it, and they can put their hand there and try and make it so you get a shit photo, but they can't physically take your phone away from you, because you know it's your property.
Yeah, fair enough. What else did we do? We did we saw Guy Fawkes and his co-conspirator with that cool effect we mentioned. That was fascinating.
There was the Reanimator.
The Reanimator?
The Resurrectionist, the Grave Robber.
Oh yeah, but that came just before the Mirrors, so I thought we were on from that.
Yeah, fair enough. Dick Turpin.
Dick Turpin was great.
Yeah, Dick Turpin was a follow-on from a witch.
Yeah, we were on our way to see the execution.
We were on our way to see the execution of a witch, which I believe if you were at the London dungeon, you would already be there. Because a lot of the things in these dungeons is basically the same thing, but like transplanted. You didn't have to be in the York dungeon to see Guy Fawkes, for instance.
It might be a new exhibit, but I have been to the London dungeons before, but this was secondary school I went, which we're talking over 10 years ago.
Right.
And they didn't have
Guy
Fawkes
they do change things around.
I should hope so.
Like when I was at the London dungeon, there was like a big old mini theatre room where you sat down and did a shooting gallery.
Okay.
With light guns.
Okay.
Except I'm pretty sure there was no score, and it was just they play the video and things explode with the expectation that someone shot it.
Yeah. When I was there, they had a bit of it wasn't a log flume, but it was kind of like a water ride, and at the end would be you getting your head chopped off by a simulated guillotine.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It was fucking wild. The big deal with London dungeons back when I went was Jack the Ripper, despite the fact he never spent time in the London dungeons for obvious reasons.
Yep. But yeah, let's think. Oh yes, there was the ghost.
Yeah, the ghost room frightened the fuck out of me, but not for the reason why I did more damage to myself than the experience did.
Yeah, there's I didn't clock that you weren't allowed to be touched, and even then I forgot it multiple times. In that the when it came to be like the ghost bit, when it all went dark, I half expected someone to get a hand on the shoulder.
Oh, did I fuck you up by accident?
Not really.
Alright, because there was
I knew it was you. You were right there.
Alright, cool. There was a point point, guys, where I put my hand on Rick's shoulder and started leaning forward because there was a big, really conspicuous red curtain behind us covering the back wall, and I'm like, something's going to jump out of that wall, and if I'm not holding on to Rick, I will fall over out of fear. And then
I was fine from that.
And then that never happened. It was just they were good effects, don't get me wrong, but it was just a woman in the middle of the room. She didn't even scream. Someone else screamed.
Yes.
And it was the funniest thing ever because they didn't scream at anything scary. It was like the lights went back on and the experience was over, and then she just went, "Ah!" and then immediately apologized.
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
There was an inquisition, a torture chamber for people who were, royalists.
Yeah.
And they showed off like all the little torture devices, like the tongs and the booty hole ripper and things like that.
To be fair, the booty hole ripper had many functions. That was just one she decided to show off.
Yeah. It's a case of if you're not responsive, I can just find a soft spot and rip you something. Like I like the armpit and I like the booty hole.
Yeah, she never said booty hole, by the way, guys.
No, she didn't say booty hole. It was like, the bit between the bits. But yeah, the Dick Turpin carriage. That was a cool effect. One of the people in the party got tasked with guarding the scepter.
Yep.
And of course, that was going to go missing.
Yeah. When the carriage was getting shot up, you thought something happened on purpose, but it didn't, and you just looked a bit like a numpty for 5 seconds.
Oh, yes. A curtain went over my head, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm assuming this has happened. I'm assuming this has happened on purpose, and I'm assuming I'm being held hostage. However, no, the curtain just went on my head.
Yeah. The moment the
so
carriage...
that's why I was.
sorry.
I was going to say because that was the reason why I was moving my head so much, was because I'm assuming that the lights have gone up and people are expecting a show.
Yeah. Weirdly, when the lights went out for the big reveal of Turpin suddenly being in the carriage and shooting and being loud, I already knew the dude was there because I felt something go past me, and I was like, that's probably a dude. And then the lights went on, and there's a dude right in front of me holding a gun, and I'm like, oh, it's a dude.
Yep.
I felt slightly bad for him because I had my legs, like, kudos to the fucking actor because it was dark and you can't see. I had my legs outstretched to stop myself from fucking shaking when the carriage was moving.
Yes. And he managed to get round them for the most part.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about with the dungeons? We kind of touched upon the witch doing more spooky shit.
You've got coins.
Oh yeah, we got coins. We got coins from Warhammer World as well. I think it's the coolest little fucking thing you can do as a souvenir is just pay us £2. Here's a commemorative coin. We're not talking about the coin stretcher things. We're talking about literally just a little coin.
Yeah. The coin manglers.
It's just like, here you go. You now know you've been here.
Yeah, the pressed penny.
But again, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're not talking about those. Yeah, these are like actual doubloon coins that have got something printed on them.
Yeah.
They also had some additional ones for Warhammer World that were like different amounts of money depending on what plating you wanted on it, and they were all coins of Bugman.
Yeah, they were shit.
Yeah, they were fine.
But they were shit because they were more than £2.
Yes. It was like 5, 15 and 25 quid or something.
Like £2, it's like, yeah, £2, here's a little thing. Like, it's great for anyone, but especially like children who want a thing, but you don't want to spend too much money on a thing you know they'll lose.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for York. The next day
was Concert Day.
Sabaton Day, yeah. And also Matt bought a PlayStation.
Yeah, we went to Leeds, and that's where the show was. Matt bought a PlayStation for a steal, and then I told you guys as soon as you went into Travel Man, hey, maybe stop talking about the brand new PlayStation you bought when there's a bunch of, I won't say smackheads, but they don't look right, over literally
they were on
sides.
something.
Well, they were just loitering, and they were just they were basically lags, to be kind, you know?
He's just standing there, menacingly. Except they were, they were actually menacing.
Well, there was enough of them that I'm a fat lad, I can't run very fast, if at all. I would have to stand my ground, and I wouldn't rate my chances.
Yeah, it's one of those where you can break their arm, but they'll still hit you with it.
But there was too many of them for that to be a real option, Rick. Like, I am not Superman.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then
we went a different way around when we left.
And then when we went into Travel Man, Matt was like, well, why are you talking about it? I said, I'm talking about it because we're now inside a comic shop where I'm confident I can whack most of these nerds.
Not in as many words.
No,
but yeah,
I didn't say that. I was like, we're in a place of business. People aren't going to do anything here, is my actual words. But in my brain, I'm like, they're nerds. I can take a nerd.
Yeah, nerds are not going to rob you.
Well, nerds don't have knives.
Well, yeah, apart from the ones that do, but they tend to be craft knives.
Oh, not in that shop. That was all board games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to talk about the concert though, Rick.
Yeah.
Who did we see?
We saw Lordi, we saw Baby Metal, and we saw Sabaton.
Yeah, we did. Lordi was a great fucking opening gig. I love them. It's a shame they were plagued by audio drama.
Yep. And there was so much audio drama that I thought when Sabaton started, one of the speakers exploded.
Yeah.
It seemed to be basically fixed by the time Baby Metal came on.
I think they had different roadies. Like, you know for a fact someone got a fucking chewing out backstage.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, one of these cables is to blame for all of these full volume static bursts that happened.
Well, one of my favourite things is about 20 minutes into the show, the lead guitarist just started doing a sick-ass solo. And I think I even leant over to him and went, he's playing a solo for us because they're trying to fix the issues.
Yeah. He's buying some time.
Yeah. Because they didn't announce anything. He literally just got to the front of the stage and started playing, and everyone shut the fuck up because it was awesome.
There was also someone who may or may not have been incapacitated by drums.
Yeah, that was a bad day for them.
Yeah, someone needed to get rushed out in a wheelchair because they collapsed right down by the front when they were doing incredibly loud bass drums through the sound system, basically as a test, but also, get hype, here are drums.
Yeah, but they were doing it to the beat of a heartbeat, and I think I even said to you at the time, Rick, thank fuck, because I don't have heart issues, but that was rocking me to my core, and not in a good way.
Yeah, like, you could feel it in your bones, in your body, in your blood, and also, like, you could see your clothes moving from how much vibration there was in this, in these big booms.
It was horrible. I imagine anyone with heart issues could have potentially suffered harm. Again, thankfully, this person, this chap, got wheeled out in a wheelchair, not a stretcher, so he was doing better than most people probably feared.
Yes, absolutely.
And hey, shout out to metal fans only having to be told once to fucking leave this line empty.
Yeah, apart from the new ones who filled it up and then got told.
Well,
and then they obeyed.
Yeah, well, you'd think there'd be a degree of common sense, but, not everyone has it. But yeah, Lordi, good opening act.
If there's a... and shout out to their costumes because they continue to be excellent.
They must have been hot as balls.
Oh, yeah, totally. To their... thankfully, though, they were a little bit raised up from where we were. Like, obviously where we were, it was hot, because there were a bunch of 22 kilowatt heaters stood all around us.
Well, yeah, I also say that because, they're thick rubber outfits.
Yeah, true. So it would have been one of those where the air is cooler and yet the outfit is warmer. So I don't envy them having to perform in all that. However, they did seem to be having a pretty good bit of fun.
Yeah. Next up, Baby Metal.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Rick. I think I've already told you this about 5 times now. The odds were always stacked against Baby Metal.
Yeah, because they replaced The Who, didn't they?
Yeah, which is the band I wanted to see. And then you had this awful thing happen where Baby Metal fans are fucking animals.
Yes, they are. They swarmed the prime spots.
Which, by the way, we were already stood in. They pushed past us. And Rick and I are big guys.
Yeah. Weirdly, we became thoroughfare for anyone going anywhere. Like, it seemed like no one else went through anyone else. It was just always through us.
Yeah, because, Rick, you and I are big people. We are aware of our sizes. When someone wants to get past, I don't know about you, but in a day-to-day basis, I usually just move because I know, I'm the bigger person. I need to be the person who moves. And I guess
we just let them.
Yeah, pretty much. The only time I didn't let someone through was there is these 2 lads who I want to say were teenagers. They pushed right past you, and then they tried to push right past me, and I went, nah, fuck you, work for it.
Yep.
I have never been closer to throwing a punch in my adult life than I was at that moment. However, there was a little part in my brain that was reminding me that I'm from London, people have been stabbed for less than this.
Yes.
So
plus, we're all metal fans, like...
Yeah, I know, but it's one of those where I told anyone, if someone had tapped me on the shoulder and was like, can I get a bit closer? I'd be like, it's Baby Metal, I don't give a fuck, go for it.
Yeah.
Like, I can still hear the music.
And there was the one... Was it the same guys who, just got in front of us and then stopped? Like, they looked like they were trying to, get through to do something, and then they just stopped.
Yeah, that was a different...
And they were both tall fucks.
No, that was a different group, but yeah, there was like a row of 5 people, and they all had beers in their hands, so I assumed they were trying to get to the other side of the concert hall where they left.
Yeah.
But then they just stopped in front of us, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was bothersome. However, once Baby Metal stopped, they just fucked off.
Yeah, that was I couldn't even really enjoy the Baby Metal set because it wasn't my style of metal. Sorry. The light show, I fucking hated.
Yeah, because it was just like blue and white light in your face, specifically your face.
Sometimes it was red or purple, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, I said blue and white. I actually normally meant red and white, but yeah, sometimes they did blue, and sometimes they mixed the blue and red, and it made purple, as you say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I think the fact that they overdid the sound meant that you just basically couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. Apparently they were singing. I didn't hear the singing, but even if I could hear the singing, they sing in Japanese, so it wouldn't really mean much to me.
Yeah. Like, I picked out a couple of words like, oh, they're talking about the world in this line. They're talking about, they're either talking about a sailor uniform or world domination, and that's also just a pun because it's the same word.
I heard that whenever they said 1, 2, 3, 4, I heard that quite clearly. They are very adorable.
They are.
And I'll give them credit where credit is due. The energy they brought to the show was incredibly high. They did the idol shit of constantly dancing, but fuck me, is it not for me?
Although now we can cross off that we've been to an idol concert.
I guess. If I want... Yeah, you're not wrong. I think my biggest issue with Baby Metal is the fact that the 3 main members don't actually play the instruments. They are the people who get all of the acclaim are the 3 singers, and I'm pretty sure only one of them sings and the other 2 are dancers. Meanwhile, the actual band are session musicians, and you know this because they're always got their heads covered in random crap so you can't see them, so they can replace them every other show.
Yes, I think they're called the Fox Gods because when I was when I saw the roadies, they had Fox God Crew written on their backs, and yeah, the masks are like kitsune masks.
Fair enough. But yeah, Baby Metal not for me. I've seen them. Nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, they were decent.
Yeah, like I said, nothing wrong with them. It's just not my scene, and their fans ruined it for me.
They do sound better recorded.
Oh yeah, because the mixing's probably fucking proper.
Yeah,
and also
you can hear them.
Go on, sorry.
Like you can hear them, and you can hear the intent a lot better when you can hear the mixing properly. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're also not fucking winded from running up and down the stage. Because again, I cannot understate how much fucking movement that these 3 ladies had.
Yes, absolutely.
I was fucking exhausted just watching them. But yeah.
And then we get to the main event.
Man, the exact same words I was going to use, Rick.
Yeah, we got Sabaton. They built the tank around the drums.
Yeah, they always do.
They did the pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, the first pyrotechnic was a single explosion up in the gods. After they did a little bit of music, and then it just went silent. And yeah, I literally thought that one of the speakers had blown.
Yeah. What it was a bit of narration that they tend to have in their albums. It's the same woman who normally does it. But yeah, they cut it out halfway, and I think the crowd even went because they were like, no, don't have technical issues during the Sabaton part. But yeah, as always, one of the reasons why I like Sabaton is I like the style of the music, I like the theme of the songs. Pretty much all of their songs have been bangers, and most importantly of all, they're giant fucking goofballs.
Yes. They're just lovable guys, and if you want to listen to their songs, each one's a little history lesson.
Pretty much, man. But yeah, we had a great mix of new stuff and old stuff. Joaquim even did a bit where he was explaining that something we get told by fans a lot is, how come you don't play older music? So here's some older music, including The Winged Hussars, which is one of the best songs of all fucking time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we almost definitely saw the very first live performance of 1916, which is their cover of the Motorhead song by the same name.
Yes.
It doesn't happen often, but boy does Joaquim sing very nice when he's doing a nice slow song that isn't as heavy as the usual repertoire.
Totally. Because this was the first night of the reboot of the tour, which was cancelled in 2022.
Yeah, in fact, the day of the show was the release day of their new EP, which included the cover of 1916.
Yeah, we went to HMV and tried to find it, and it wasn't there.
To be fair, we didn't try to find it. Our mutual friend Matt, who we always said let's go to HMV, so we did. And because they had CDs, I just decided to check, and no, they didn't have it, because of course they didn't.
And my little tidbit is that I first saw Sabaton when they were opening for Dragon Force, and now they're so much bigger than Dragon Force that Dragon Force are not even at HMV anymore.
When was the last time Dragon Force released a new song? That's the question.
A while ago.
Well, that's...
They've been, I think they've been, like, chopping and changing members for quite some time now.
Sure. Is Herman Lee still in charge?
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
That's the only member of the band who I know.
Yeah. I think Pelly K, who is he's a YouTube singer. I think he applied to be their singer and failed, and then eventually ended up being their singer for a short amount of time.
Okay.
Like that's for instance one thing that one thing that comes and goes, and he's a great singer, by the way. So have a look at him if you've not checked out Pelly K.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah. So yeah, Dragon Force no longer have a section at HMV in the metal section. Either that or they just didn't have any in stock. But
yeah, we had a great moment where the bassist, whose name is so Swedish, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. He spoke about the last time they were in Leeds and they played a little pub show for about 54 people and made enough money for a pint of beer. And then the crowd just started chanting Yorkshire for about a minute.
Yeah. Apparently, this is the first time you've encountered this.
Why would I have encountered it before? I'm so very rarely at concerts, specifically in the Yorkshire region.
Yeah, like, do you not get people shouting out their county?
No, we usually get people saying... usually, people say something that's relevant to what's being said. Which I suppose it was semi-relevant, but in the last Sabaton gig I went to, the crowd started shouting IKEA in the tune of Swedish Pagans, which Joakim Broden pissed himself at. He also brought up a story about how they got told by a journalist that they should just pack it in, and the crowd started chanting "Who are you?" at this nameless journalist who was not there. So I'm no stranger to weird chanting, but Yorkshire out of nowhere was a bit odd.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of places in Yorkshire that hate each other. However, we can all get behind Yorkshire.
Yeah, fair. Well, yeah, you have to, don't you? You got to live up to the legacy of that White Rose.
Yep. Yeah, we're losers.
Technically, you didn't lose. You didn't win, but I got no stake in that fucking war.
Yeah, fair enough. Apart from when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
I still can't believe that's a thing, but that's a tangent for another day.
Yeah, I think it was something we talked about on the podcast before, the Yu-Gi-Oh! War of the Roses.
It's so fucking weird. It's so fucking dumb. But we're nearly an hour in. We need to keep doing our weeks.
Yes. So, was there anything else from the Sabaton portion that you wanted to mention?
No, they played tracks I loved. The only track that they played, which is kind of on my scale, was Firestorm. But whatever. It's an old song that doesn't get played regularly. I understand why people were hyped for it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Also, the last Sabaton song I went to, Bismarck, was their newest track. So I had to wait till the end of the concert to hear it. Meanwhile, at this time, second fucking song, I was well happy.
Yeah. They opened with Panzer Elite, didn't they?
They open every single fucking concert with Ghost Division.
Sure.
Without fail, because it's a fucking banger. They just run on stage and start going. And also the pyro for it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the next day was a bit of a day of rest. We did very little. We played good board games. You bought some board games.
Well, you say we played some board games.
We played a board game.
You say we played a board game.
There was attempted board game. We got Zuma Trivial Pursuit, and you hated it so much you left it with me.
Yeah. I first of all, it only cost £6, so it wasn't a magnificent gift on my part. But I was bothered because I wanted to get classic Trivial Pursuit with classic questions because there's more of a range. Meanwhile, our other friend was like, "Get this one." I went, "Okay," and every question we got to, no one could fucking answer because it was, as he said, Zuma shit. No offense to Zoomers, but, you know...
Apart from the stuff that was so easy that anyone could have got it.
Yeah, like, who's an internet meme for saying, you can't see me. Oh, by the way, they're a wrestler.
Yeah, like, I opened up the question, and your face lit up. Which WWE superstar? And your face lit up. And the rest of the question that requires John Cena, and I just saw your excitement leave your body.
Yeah, because it's a question anyone can fucking get. My wrestling knowledge was wasted.
Yes.
Bastard. But yeah, again, I'm not knocking Zoomers on this. It's just the questions were themed around shit, specifically around 2010 to 2020, which... Quite frankly, there are some gaps in my knowledge.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, even if it was 2000 to 2020, like, there are gaps in my consciousness. Normally around what normies do. Like, you ask me anything about what Simon Cowell did in this period of time, I couldn't give less of a fuck.
That's just it. It was pop culture things for a timeline where Rick and I are not tuned into pop culture.
Yeah.
And neither were anyone else around the table either, come to think of it.
No, and it seems neither were the question writers, because I think it was written by boomers with access to Wikipedia.
Okay.
And trying to appeal to Zoomers, and it's just we're a sandwich in this. We're not we belong to neither, and therefore I think the most anyone got was 3 tokens, and that was Chris V.
Yeah, because we got to the end of the game. He already had 2 tokens. Everyone else was on 1, and I said, Chris, get this right, and you win because I'm done.
Yep. We did manage to play some Commander. We used 2 Warhammer decks, a D&D deck, and your brand new March of the Machines deck.
Yeah, mine was Knights and Vampires, and it was fun.
Yeah, including, like, your cornerstone was a guy that could only be cast from the graveyard.
And then once he was cast, I could cast anything from my graveyard.
Yep. Not anything, only Knights. However, everything in that deck was Knights.
Yeah.
Including the one that give all Knights horsemanship, which makes them all fucking unblockable, pretty much, unless you've got other Knights on opposing armies that also have horsemanship.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that the other 3 commander decks in that set probably have at least one thing with horsemanship in, or something to counter that, because otherwise it's not broken, because as you can see, people dealt with it easily enough, but, you know, it did make things a bit more challenging.
Either that or other ways to be unblockable, like you might have a flying one, you might have a shadow one, you might have one with land walk. Like, if every one of those has a way to attain unblockable, then it makes it kind of like an internally balanced cycle.
Yeah. Rick, you were the first one eliminated out of that game, but not out of spite, out of the fact that, boy, were you fucking dominating early on.
Yeah, I became a threat earliest, and therefore I became public target number 1. Because I was eliminated pretty much immediately, that allowed you to become public target number 2, but by that time, you were winning harder. Matt got mana screwed. So the Forces of Chaos never really got off the ground. Abaddon came out a couple of times. Marnia's Calgar came out a couple of times, and what was I? Oh yeah, I was the D&D party.
Yeah, which is a fun gimmick, but boy, was it annoying.
Yep. Yeah, everyone gets counters, everyone gets taller, they all get, like, death touch.
Yeah, I even there was the only 2 players that I could figure out who didn't attack each other until there was no other option was me and Chris V, and it was basically at the point where it was basically a kind of a Cold War, but like the friendliest Cold War ever, where it's like, I'm not going to attack you on the understanding that you're not going to attack me for a while, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I play a guy, I leave them here, I'm not attacking because then I don't have blockers, go.
Yeah. Because I could have got screwed up at one point, because I think the way I evened the playing field for pretty much everyone was Matt played a fun Chaos card which mutated everything, which put both you and I in really strong positions.
Yes.
And that's kind of where the mountain started to get built. Fuck knows how that game would have gone if that card didn't get played, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, they came off the top of your library, so you would have gotten those specific cards eventually.
Yeah, but I didn't have enough island tokens, or island mana to play that horsemanship character at that time in the game.
Sure.
So the fact that they just got summoned was like, yeah, cool, godsend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had that, so yeah, we got to that level, and then I had to play a card to get rid of your ever-increasing amount of monsters, which was just every creature on the field goes away.
Yep. I had one of those, but it had an exception of you pick a warrior, a cleric, a wizard, and a rogue, and you get to keep those, and everyone else dies.
Okay.
and that works for every creature, every player. Sorry, which like weirdly, a lot of the other decks had those creature types. Like I think you didn't, but you might have had like warrior knight or something.
No,
whereas,
my keywords were knight or vampire.
Sure. Whereas both the Warhammer decks, if you have a Space Marine, they're automatically a warrior, pretty much.
Yeah, makes sense. But you could have just said wizard and you would have been fine.
Yeah, but you pick one of each.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, both of them would have picked their commander to keep, most likely. And yeah, the rest of them might have gone, but you know, they only had like 2 or 3 guys each, whereas I had like 15. So the reason I wasn't playing that was because it would have hurt me more than than benefited me.
Yeah. We also had the fun discussion before we started the game with Chris V, because Chris V is pretty much undisputed the magic expert as far as I'm concerned in our group. Not to knock...
In our group, definitely.
Not to knock any of us, it's just, you know...
Yeah, in our group, definitely, and beyond that, certainly, as well, because, like, he's been on the professional track in the past. He's kind of semi-retired right now, to the point that he's cashed out most of his nerd store credit. And he doesn't go to, like, pro tours or anything anymore. Mostly because they've got a seasonal bent to it. You need to build up your rep within the season before you can go to an event.
Yeah, like any old video game.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is like IRL, like paper magic.
Yeah. But yeah, my point being that I said, hey, do you want to play with Planescapes? And Chris V's exact words were, oh, so you want the game to last 6 seconds? I was like, okay.
No, I think he said you want it to last 6 hours.
He said 6 seconds or 6 hours, I think, because depending on what happened, essentially if we played with that, wacky shit would have happened and the game would have been unpredictable. There was less skill in, not less skill, but less skill, you know what I mean? Bit more RNG in the mix.
But yeah, the Planescape stuff is something that has been brought back in the most recent set. It's completely optional, and your deck came with a set of the cards.
Yeah, so that's just like, if everyone want to play Planescape, there we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, fast forward to the evening, I suppose.
Yeah, the Grand National.
Oh, fuck me. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that did happen before Rinfield. Yeah, the Grand National happened. I didn't get the winner. Listen, I'm going to talk about a couple of news articles right now because they're relevant.
Sure.
So yeah, the Grand National was postponed for a bit because of animal rights protesters, and I understand why they were like this, but it still irks me, and that is the commentary team and every single and I'm using air quotes, professional being interviewed while they were filling for time were absolute cunts about the protesters because they don't understand where they're coming from. And
yeah, they're on their own side. Like they see their own point of view and nothing else.
Yeah, and you had interviews with owners and trainers and jockeys saying these horses are cared for the best possible way they could be possibly cared for. They have great lives, blah 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 blah. Yes, the top 10% of horses have that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those, like, the protesters weren't protesting the 329 days of that year that they're not racing.
Yeah, and
they were protesting the, like, 40 odd that they do race and the inherent risks thereof of if they fall over and break something, then it's time for the curtain.
Yeah, it's one of those where I don't agree with handcuffing yourself to the hurdles because that is dangerous to yourself and dangerous to other people. However, I understand the motivation, and if nothing else, the protest group in question certainly got their message across, I feel, because an exclamation point that they had no hand in was 3 horses died in the Grand National this year, as well as, I believe, 2 more needing emergency veterinary care.
I don't think any of the jockeys were, like, super seriously injured, but I think one of them did go to hospital, but, like, is okay now.
Yeah, they go to hospital all the time. You got to be a tough bastard to be a jockey. I'll leave it at that. But
yeah.
I will say that one of the most disgraceful and dishonest things I've ever fucking witnessed is the newspapers, which shouldn't be a shocker, really. And again, the commentary team at the event saying that because these horses were in the heat for an extra 20 minutes, that's what caused these deaths. No, that's simply simply not true. Like, you're a fucking idiot if you believe it.
Remember, 9 out of 10 newspapers are Tories, so that's kind of where most of the newspapers are coming from anyway.
Sure. I don't put much stock in what newspapers say, but tabloids exist. I work in a supermarket. I see them every day.
Yes.
I can't believe many people believe this. However, literally as I'm saying that, when I got home on the Sunday, I was speaking to my mum about it, and my mum said this, and then my brother came down the stairs and went, "Oh yeah, that's because the race got delayed 20 minutes." I went, "If you believe that, you're a fucking idiot. That's got nothing to do with that. The horses got put down because they fucked up a jump and they fucked up their leg. And horses are big creatures. If they lose a leg, they can't adjust. That's just simply a fact. It's not like dogs and cats where they've got that. I can't tell you the biological specifics, but a horse's weight is just too much for 3 legs.
Yeah, it's a square cube law.
Sure. But yeah, next up on the agenda very quickly, because it's somewhat related, and I told you about this the other day. The snooker's on. Just Stop Oil ran onto the snooker table and dumped a load of orange dust and moved the balls a little bit. And fair enough, they're getting their message out there. But I think the funniest part is I watched the video and I just happened to be talking to Rick at the time. I said, "Oh, Rick, it's great. There's some northern fuck in the accent just going, fucking dickhead." But yeah, it's one of those where these protest groups they want to get their message across, and this is the easiest way to do it. The only downside is they're targeting things that a lot of people enjoy watching, so it's a real double-edged sword.
Yeah, the people who are watching and are seeing you make your point are going to hate you because you're disrupting the thing that they want to see, although yes, you do end up on telly.
Yeah, it's one of those where I agree with the messages they're sending, and I don't have an issue with it 100%. I just don't know if it's the best way of doing it, because if you want people on your side, ruining the thing they enjoy watching is not the best way. Also, it's the fucking snooker.
Yes. I'm going to bring snooker back into it as well. You brought your VR headset up.
I did.
I played Vader Immortal, and quite a bunch of times I ended up putting my arm on something that wasn't there, trying to, relax in my, starship cockpit or something. And then you let me know about Ronnie O'Sullivan playing VR. And when he tried to make a snooker shot in VR, he did as most professional snooker players do and tried to get on the table.
It was so fucking funny, because he just fucking eats shit. And everyone in the room starts laughing, and while Ronnie O'Sullivan is a little bit angry, you can hear just a little bit of a chuckle at the end.
Yeah. Do you try and get on the table? Yeah.
But yeah, with Vader Immortal, can you see now why I stressed, please, for the love of God, this isn't a Wii, I do actually need you to put the wrist straps on.
Yes, totally. So I was, even with the wrist straps, I was still kind of conscious of these things. And yeah, I did not want to super whack the wall.
Yeah.
Partly because, hands have fragile bones, and also because it's your thing. I don't want to break your thing.
Yeah. I watched you when you first started, and then I went to bed about 50 minutes later, because I don't know what it is about the northern air, but it makes me more tired, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah.
We're next to a forest. Maybe that.
Maybe. But yeah, I straight up said, after 2 seconds of you playing, Rick, stop doing it. You're going to hit the wall.
Yep. And thankfully, I've got open back headphones, so I can at least accept at least some amount of noise.
Yeah. So what did you think of Vader Immortal? I know we're jumping a bit here, but fuck it.
Other than the fact that it jumps forward a lot, it was great. The force training, it fit the narrative to kind of skip forward and go, oh yeah, you've got the force, here's your training, do this, do that, do the other. I think it would have made a lot more sense if I was getting each episode as it was released. So you have a lot of in-between time to form theories and things like that, I
believe all 3 episodes were released at the same time, and they were only released in 3 different episodes because they knew that it would be very unlikely that you could run all 3 episodes on one battery.
Sure. Yeah, because you've got the Quest, which is they had 3 rifts before this.
Yeah.
So the Quest is it's trimmed down in terms of tech, but with battery advancements, it's actually better than the first 1, maybe 2 of the rifts in terms of battery life.
Maybe.
There's now the Quest 2, which again, it's battery life again.
Yeah.
And it's now the Meta Quest because Facebook want their thing to be their thing. But yeah, it was generally a pretty good experience. it's a lot more interesting and complete an experience than when I used the Gear VR, which was also co-developed with Oculus, where you put your Samsung phone from, like, literally only 2 Samsung phones work with it.
Yeah, I found this out the hard way, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. I apologize, because we didn't get the chance to let you try the one that I had while you were here, and then you ordered your own.
Yeah, I had a weird generation of phone that was too new for the old one and too old for the new one. So it's just like, it was in that sweet spot of, fuck you. Yep.
Massive pain in the arse. But yeah, the other thing we did was Renfield.
Yeah, I didn't really give a fuck about this movie going in, so it was more pleasurable than I would have thought.
Yeah, you got Nicolas Cage absolutely devouring the scenery as Dracula.
Yeah.
And unlike some other movies where Dracula is like this morally ambiguous, like, true protagonist, like, nah, he's a villain through and through. Renfield is the one who has his kind of face turn, and yeah, you get to follow Awkwafina, as I forgot the name of the character that she plays, but she's a police officer who swears.
Sure.
And yeah, they have a bit of a romance going on. Renfield breaks free of Dracula's control. I think it's Ben Schwartz is the rival guy who's like, he's the son of a crime gang.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but I knew the actor because, like, as soon as he came on screen and was on the phone just talking shit, I was like, oh, I know that guy. He does that in everything.
Yeah, he's John Ralphio from Parks and Rec, and he's the movie Sonic.
Okay.
And he's also that droid in the not pod racing episode of Bad Batch.
Oh, was he? Okay, I didn't catch that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got to go fast and he talks mad shit. So, it's it's on brand.
Yeah, that's fair. A few things I want to say about this movie. First and foremost, going into it, I genuinely thought it was going to be more like Young Frankenstein than it was.
Sure.
Like, it was the vibe I got. There was only 2 jokes in the film that I genuinely laughed at and found hilarious.
Sure.
The first one being, and I told you this one straight after, Dracula letting himself into Renfield's new place just because it had a welcome mat out front.
Yes.
Found that fucking hilarious. Great, good job, well done. Bit of kudos for a bit of consistency with the Dracula lore as well, in that the sunlight didn't kill Dracula, it just made him incredibly weak.
Yeah, and it burnt him to flames, and then he had to regenerate from that.
But the other joke I really appreciated was the main rival character, as you said, being like, so it's finally us two fighting for the right to be called Dracula's familiar, and Renfield just goes, I've met you like twice, and barely at that.
Yeah.
It's one of my...
Yeah, the viewers have seen the guy, but, like, the characters have not.
Yeah. It's a great gag. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a trope for it on TV Tropes, and it's funny every time it happens. Like, going back to Warhammer, it happens in... is it Gotrek and Felix?
Maybe so. Yeah, the Warhammer fantasy books.
Yeah. Basically, they're constantly kicking Skaven arse, and there's a Skaven... he's not a warlord, he's like a scientist, who is constantly having his plans foiled by Gotrek, and he's just like, oh, and then after like 6 adventures, because Skaven lead from the back, because of course they do, he comes face to face with Gotrek and Felix, and he has this whole entire monologue of going, finally, after all these years, I will have my revenge. And Gotrek is just like, I don't know who you are.
Literally who?
And the Skaven warlord has this mini existential crisis with, oh my god, this has been happening by accident.
Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah. So we did Renfield mostly as like a thank you to my folks for putting up with us for this like long weekend, and we had a cheeky Nando's.
Yeah, I don't care for Nando's, still don't, but hey, oh diddly do.
Yeah. It was that, or go to somewhere like Macca's, and my folks wouldn't have liked that.
As far as I'm aware, I didn't complain at the time. I was just like, it's chicken.
No.
Chicken. I ended the night with a monster shit.
You did.
I was like, I'm heading off to the bathroom, guys, and then like 5 minutes later, I'm out as if I'd just fucking seen the horrors of World War II.
And then the next day, you guys headed home.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to sleep in my own bed. I'll put it that way. Not that there was anything wrong with the bed I was sleeping in. It's just something special.
Well, apparently it's because when you're in an unfamiliar place, your brain sleeps half a hemisphere at a time, which makes it easier for you to wake up.
Okay.
So when you're in a familiar place, you get deeper sleep.
I'll take your word for it.
But yeah,
that that about covers our week in person. Do you have anything else that's going on with you personally?
Well, I've got a stag do coming up. Well, literally today at time of recording. It's going to be in Bishop Auckland, and it's going to be pretty much a similar thing of nerds going to a place and being nerds.
Do you want to?
Because we tried this before.
Do you want to tell the story of the fact that Chris V is going in advance with? I assume it's his missus, but it might just be another friend who happens to be a girl, specifically to trick the place.
He's going up with his wife and son to make it look like it's not a same-sex party, because same-sex parties are charged extra.
Which is fucking bollocks, isn't it?
I mean, yes, but also stags are fucking animals.
Okay.
It just so happens that we're not.
Okay, but you know what I mean, though, right? This is what deposits are for.
Yes. There is a safety deposit, and if things go wrong, we have to all chip in and pay it off. But the idea is meant to be it's only there to stop things from going too far wrong. If you have a stag do, they can probably do more damage than the deposit can cover. But we're not intending to. We're basically intending to be a mostly sober, party soft kind of group that we might have one or two, but we mostly want to be able to understand the games that we're still playing.
Yeah, including Zuma Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, Zuma Pursuit is going up there. There's going to be a lot of magic. One of the organisers is bringing 24 decks and a cube. A cube is basically a curated draft set that he's just built. Certain people that take part can just draft from the cube, and then it all goes back at the end. I think one of the guys is doing a D&D one-shot, and there are going to be other board games there. Like, I'm taking up Trivial Pursuit. I'm taking up What Do You Meme? I don't think I need to take up Exploding Kittens, because I think everyone's played that to death. Ditto for Cards Against Humanity is the kind of thing that, like, I think someone's got a much bigger and better box of Cards Against Humanity than I do anyway, so me taking mine is just like pissing into the wind at that point.
Well, What Do You Meme is basically Cards Against Humanity but with pictures.
Yeah, it's a lot less inflammatory as well, to a degree, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Like, sometimes you can kind of attack someone with the cards that you play.
Yeah, but that's the creator's fault a little bit, because there's a lot of things that are like, I am, etc.
Yeah. Like, the award for starting a shitty podcast goes to...
Alright, let's keep it playful.
To our credit, this is before we started this. I think this is a much better formatted podcast than the one that we tried last time. But yeah, there are things that have happened in the outside world, but it's less important, and, it can wait.
Don't worry, I've got a fucking whole other page for news out in the world.
Yeah, thing I have seen out in the world, Vampire Survivors has a new DLC. I have bought it, and I've done things with it. It cost twice as much as the last DLC, and I also paid for it with Google credit from handing in receipts and telling Google, yes, I did go to this place. Yes, I did spend a $5.
Fair enough.
And then a bunch of anime have got their second seasons. Like I know you watched the first season of In Another World with my smartphone.
Oh, I did. It was not good.
It wasn't great now, but like season 2 has started, and like, it's like 3 episodes in. It's fine.
Listen,
it just exists.
My big issue with that anime is the title is rather misleading, because it might as well be like, I go into a medieval world with a gun. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, he 3D prints guns. He's now got a place that can 3D print anything that already exists. So if he makes a gun, he can now 3D print infinity guns.
Cool, he's got it.
Yep. There are other ones like this. The Konosuba prequel is now running, which is a lot of fun. It was Garrett that actually told me about Konosuba to begin with. It's I'd say it's the most accurate depiction of a D&D party, in that they're all lovable goofs and they all fuck up all the time.
Sure.
And I've seen there's a thing about Street Fighter 6. It's getting an RPG mode with your original character, and you are able to fight unruly fridges, which looks like a bit of fun. But yeah, that's enough about what I've seen out in the universe. How about you? How has your week been? What can you add to the narrative, and what have you seen out in the universe?
Okay. What have I done? Aside from coming up north and hanging out with you, I think we spent over an hour talking about what we did together, so let's talk about some things I did a bit solo.
Sure.
Well, this first one is something you've kind of been doing yourself, but Destiny 2 Lightfall.
Yeah!
I've beaten the campaign.
Yeah!
Have you beaten the campaign yet?
No!
Oh.
I've done the older expansions, because they came on sale like a day before you came up, and I went, okay, I'm going to get the... we're going to hop in on the new campaign. We both did that. I also bought the discount pack of 3 old expansions.
Okay.
So I've got this like big old smorgasbord of stuff to do. I picked one of them and went through that. So I've got the Stasis subclass.
Okay. I believe I've also got the Stasis subclass because it was free with PS Plus at one point.
Okay.
I just got to go and do it.
Sure.
But yeah, I've unlocked Strand full time, and I just want to bitch about the final boss of the campaign because okay, one of the things that you get with the Strand is you get the grapple ability that lets you basically be Spider-Man.
Yes.
If you throw it on a green orb in the sky, you don't expend a charge, so you can just keep doing it infinitely. I died to this boss 25 times just by throwing myself off the arena. Not on purpose, mind. So, yeah, I was very frustrated with this final boss. Thank fuck they put a checkpoint before it, because I shit you not, I went, I can't, I'm gonna fucking... This is the most agitated I've been with a game in a long old time. And you essentially have to fight it with Strand. You cannot pick up the Strand ability, but then your mobility is so limited that you're going to get fucked.
Sure, yeah. Because it replaces all grenades with Spider-Man, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, no matter what your subclass is, your grenade is now web swinging.
Yeah, although once you unlock the class properly, you can change it for a different type of grenade.
But why would you? Like, this is the most fun one, so...
It's the most fun one when there's Strand orbs in the universe, so when you're on Neptune, it's fine, because they've got them randomly placed, but anywhere else it's kind of limited, because again, if you use the Strand pull power and you're not hitting a green orb, it expends the charge, and also it doesn't do fucking damage.
Yeah, all it does is moves you around. Like, it's okay for PvE, where you can just use it for mobility. It's like a secondary dodge.
Well, again, like, I'm a Titan, why do I need a dodge?
Yeah, I mean, you've got one if you want one, but you'd probably pick barrier.
Well, yeah, I want my Ward of
Dawn. Little bulwark.
Yeah,
I mean the little bulwark that you can put down.
Oh, yeah, the barricade, yeah. Because if you're the Arc subclass, you can change that for a dodge instead.
Yeah, you can just go sideways.
Yeah, which is shit, but whatever. But yeah, it is what it is. I've had fun with it. I picked up the Jade Rabbit exotic. It just dropped during one of my strikes, so
sweet.
I'm now using a scout rifle instead of a hand cannon, and boy, has it made my life easier.
Yeah.
Hand cannons are great in PvP. In PvE, they're kind of shit.
Yeah. Like, they're good against glowing head thralls, but, like, what isn't good against a glowing head thrall?
Hey, guess what?
I'll tell you what isn't good. Melee.
Oh, the amount of times I've done that by accident. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm sure we'll talk about Destiny 2 a bit more in the future, because we're both kind of in on it. Rick, I saw the Mario movie.
You did.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think it's now the highest grossing animated movie of all time so far.
Yeah, it blitzed its own predictions as far as income went. And you know what? I'm glad it's doing well enough to justify Nintendo potentially financing other projects.
The unfortunate thing is bean counters are now going to go, more of this, and there's now going to be a Smash Brothers cinematic universe.
Yeah, but I kind of wanted that at the end of Sonic anyway.
Yeah, well, I think the problem with it is that the Mario movie references Mario stuff, which is great. A cinematic universe is going to be self-referential, which means you're going to have to, do a fucking bunch of homework.
Rick, about 5 minutes into the film, Mario goes into his room and starts playing Kid Icarus.
Okay.
So, it's already there. It's like I said, it's fine. It's a bit weird how close to the 1993 movie the intro is. Like,
yeah, because it's a dude in the real world, isn't it, to begin with.
Like, they literally more or less copy-pasted it. But yeah, apart from that, like, it's good. I wouldn't say it's great. I'd say it's worth going to see. Every time Donkey Kong is on screen, it's fucking great.
Yeah, and Cranky up on his throne.
Yeah, Cranky on his throne. And yeah, as we all knew, Jack Black fucking knocks it out of the park. Nintendo lied. They did not fix Chris Pratt's voice lines. He is still just Chris Pratt sounding like Chris Pratt, which sucks.
Yep.
There's no defense of that, really. Like, do better. They get, what's his son? I've forgotten his name. Charles Martinet?
Yeah. Oh, he's in the movie as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in the movie. They get his cameo out of the way very early on.
Yeah, that's so weird. It's so weird that they've got him in the movie.
Yeah, like, they should have just had him voice Mario, man. They really should have.
Yeah.
But, oh well, we can't bitch about things we don't have. At least he got a payday.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, I'd recommend it to people. It's definitely lowest common denominator. It's aimed for kids, and it doesn't hide that fact.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not okay with a kids movie, you'll probably be bored. And yeah, the animation's great. As far as visuals are concerned, spot on, perfect. I've got no issues.
Sure.
But then again, it's Illumination, and if I remember rightly, they did they're the Minion guys, right?
Yeah, they're the Despicable Me guys, and I think they now own DreamWorks.
That sounds correct.
So when they're doing the new Shrek, which it was meant to be a reboot, and now it's just Shrek 5.
Sure.
It's like a collaboration operation of Illumination and DreamWorks. I think it is just coming out under Illumination at this point.
Sure. Yeah, like, even though I don't like the Minion movies, or even any Despicable Me movie apart from the first one, like, you can't complain about the visuals.
Yeah, I love the Despicable Me movies, and the second Minions movie is also pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like,
I'm not sitting
I was going to say, I got burned by the first Minions movie, and the second one was, like, so much way better.
Don't forget, the Minions were conveniently trapped in ice between 1939 and 1945 for no reason.
Yes. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But yeah, the last thing I want to touch upon is I'm now caught up with Bad Batch Season 2. That's a great series. Hurry up and watch it with your folks so we can talk about it, Rick. And the Mando finale happened. We're not going to talk about it because you guys need to tune in on Friday, where our retro is going to be Mando Season 3, unless one of us gets sick.
I'm not planning to get sick.
Unfortunately, it's something you just can't plan for.
No.
All right, Rick, you ready for some news?
Yeah, let's shout.
Alrighty. Rick, have you seen the Bud Light bullshit?
Oh, yeah. A bunch of Red Hats are cancelling Bud Light due to the fact that it has a transgender spokesperson.
Yeah, it's fucking weird and it's fucking funny, because boy is it really weird how the group that says y'all are snowflakes and can't take nothing are the same group that go, oh, you sponsored a person I don't like. You know?
Yeah. The ones who complain about cancel culture are the ones that actually want to engage in cancel culture.
Oh, it's fucking ridiculous, man. Like, I don't drink beer, but you know, you get these weird fucks who go out and will buy a case of beer so they can smash it on camera. It's like, yeah, good job, guys. That's really fucking showing them.
Yeah. Because you've given them the sale.
Yeah.
They don't seem to realise this. They give them the sales. It doesn't matter. Like, Budweiser do not give like a tenth of a fuck what you do with their beer. Once you buy it, you can cook with it. You can put it up your arse. You can chuck it in the sea.
Don't
whatever.
Don't put beer cans up your bum. It's not a good idea. I feel the need to specify that in case we're in some kind of lawsuit in the future. But yeah.
No, I'm saying that Budweiser don't give a shit if you do that. Not us.
I don't think we can say
themselves.
that. I think we could get bollocking from Budweiser.
But yeah, we don't want people to harm themselves.
But yeah, literally, like, in the last couple of days, there was a video of a guy in Walmart who was trashing a bunch of beer down the beer aisle, like grabbing it and throwing it on the ground. He was a very angry man. He was doing it to Busch.
Anheuser-Busch is the parent company of Budweiser.
It's a different brand of beer. It's a German beer.
Huh.
Either way, it's not the specific beer that they were complaining about, which was Bud Light. Specifically Bud Light, not Budweiser or, anything else. Bud Light is the bad one, because don't forget, these guys don't know that, companies do more than one drink. They think Coca-Cola is Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper's Dr. Pepper. They can't be owned by the same people, surely.
Yeah, like all those things that conveniently always show up on the same drinks fountain.
Don't worry about it.
Not owned by the same company, yeah.
But yeah, and hey, wouldn't you know it, this guy got arrested, and hey, wouldn't you know it, he's got a previous charge for molestation.
Yep.
Oh, people in glass houses, guys.
Man, I don't know the specifics of it, but there's now a bill in Florida to class transgender people and drag queens as sex offenders, and they're also trying at the same time to re-enable the death penalty for sex offenders.
Yeah, because they're being really cute about it, and I use that term to make light of a really fucked up situation, in that they're introducing a bill that says, the way they're springing it to the constituents is, if you molest or rape a child, you will get the death penalty. But the wording of the bill is, anyone who is convicted of a sexual crime can be punished by the death penalty, while at the same time making people who wish to officially change their gender on documentation and dress in drag be sex crimes, which they're not.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not at all. Like this isn't even an argument. Like, they're just not. But yeah, the whole idea is they're trying to basically scare a bunch of people out of Florida, so Florida becomes an even more polarized state and easier to win by people who are completely intolerant.
Hey, guess what? It's working as well, because a lot of people are just packing their fucking bags.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them.
Absolutely. If you continue to live in a place where people actively want to kill you, then it's a bad time, because you obviously don't have any other options.
But I also want to stress as well, Rick, that disregarding all of that, I don't agree with the death penalty. Not because I don't think certain crimes deserve to be punished by the ending of your life. It's because how many times, Rick, have people been convicted or falsely charged or hell, even set up by the people who are meant to protect them for crimes that they haven't done?
Yeah, statistically it's very little, but the fact that you hear about it more than once means that, it's happening more than once.
If one person is wrongfully given life in prison, yeah, it would suck if you spend 20 years in prison for a crime you didn't do, but if you get proven innocent and then let out, hey, guess what? You've kind of undone it. You haven't, but it's better than death, which unfortunately we cannot undo.
Mm-hmm.
It's bollocks. It's absolute bollocks. I don't like letting people in power have more control over us than they need, and that is one step too far for me.
Yeah, true.
But yeah,
this is true enough.
Speaking of Florida, I don't know why Disney has done this, but it continues to be hilarious, and that is Disney keeps doing things specifically to piss off DeSantis.
Yes.
I'm not complaining, but Disney is a big evil organization in its own right, but DeSantis has done something to piss off someone at Disney, and they just keep making moves to counteract whatever he is trying to do.
Yes. Which is great, because that man needs to be stopped.
Yeah, unfortunately there's only one way to stop people like that.
Yeah. And it begins with V and rhymes with boat.
Yeah, we'll go with that one, because that's a bit more politically correct. But yeah, okay, in other news, Rick, in a bold move, Imgur has decided they want to kill themselves.
Have they?
Yeah, they are taking off and banning any further uploads of nudity and pornography on their website, which, worked great for fucking Tumblr, didn't it?
Yeah, it went swimmingly for Tumblr. Man, oh boy.
As of the 15th of May, which is about a month away now, that's going to come into effect. Also, because of some changes that they're doing to their code or their server, I forget the specifics, I'm not a tech enough guy to really care. Essentially, a bunch of hyperlinks are just going to break, which means we're going to have we're essentially going to have a bit of a repeat of what happened to PhotoBucket back in the day.
Yeah, where every single image in the universe just stops working.
Yeah.
Because everyone used, PhotoBucket. Imgur, remember, it started out as, just the image hosting site for Reddit, and then it became its own thing.
Yeah, some guy said they were sick of this, and this, so they're making their own image hosting server with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people are theorizing that the owner is looking to sell it, and therefore is now doing all these changes so that he can get a price for it.
Yeah. Everything they do that's advertiser friendly is only for the advertisers and never for the users.
Yeah. Also, there's also the theory of that Imgur is worth too much in its current state, so lowering the actual price by having a bit of the user base migrate might be beneficial if they're selling. I don't know enough about business to know if that's true or if some people are just talking bollocks. That's just what I've read, so I'm sharing it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Rick, brace yourself. A writer's strike is incoming.
Oh?
The Writers Guild has voted to strike, and that means we're going to have some shit TV and movies for the next year. Maybe 2.
Yeah, unless they've, got backup scripts. Which, you should always have backup scripts. You should always have things written in advance. You should always have your ideas, formed. However...
There was a writer's strike within living memory for both of us, and it led to some really shite TV for a long period of time. So look forward to that. I will say, hey, guess what? Animators and people in special effects departments, now is the time to strike at the same time to really fuck over the big corporations.
And also provide the least disruption to the viewers, because, if something is going to get made with a shit script, it's going to reflect poorly on the whole thing, which means it's going to mean the whole thing is going to flop, which means that anyone is getting bonuses, which, animators tend not to because they get salary. But anything that is based on bonuses, based on viewership, is going to do badly.
Yeah.
If any one of the pillars, falls, it's going to get bad reviews.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sure animators and stuff don't listen to this podcast. I'm just saying, if someone's going to strike and they're in a similar, I've forgotten the fucking word, sector. If they're in a similar sector to you, you should probably strike at the same time if you're planning on striking. If you cripple the entire industry, or, cripple an industry more than you would have crippled it alone, you're more likely to get listened to.
Yeah.
Speaking of animation, Rick,
yes?
We got a Haluva Boss teaser already.
Oh.
It's about a 4-second long clip of a really metal-looking train with our favourite assassin on it. Sorry, second favourite assassin. Stryker is riding a horse made of fire while clutching a kidnapped Stolas.
Cool.
So I don't know what the fuck's going on in that, but boy, does it tickle my balls. balls.
Man, it's weird that Stryker has actually gone through the effort of kidnapping Stolas because, he was hired to kill him before. If you get close enough to kidnap him, surely you could have put a bullet through him. But,
Yeah, I don't know.
We also know that he's not defenseless. So...
Yeah, true.
Like, he can just turn people to stone immediately just by turning on the power plays.
Weirdly enough...
He's probably just doing it to get rescued by Blitz.
Weirdly enough, Stolas does not look that alarmed in the 4-second long clip, but it's also a 4-second long clip. It's really hard to tell the context.
Yeah. We have seen Stolas just play along just so he can get babied by Blitz.
Yeah.
This might be how they, rekindle the spark, which, people want.
Yeah. I want them to be the best gay dads to Luna and Octavia.
Yeah.
In other entertainment news, we got a teaser trailer which gave us the name of the next Godzilla movie.
Uh-huh.
Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire.
Okay. Character X character normally means that they're in a relationship in fan fiction world, but well.
Yeah, but this isn't fan fiction. It's not an X. It's clearly meant to be cross, as in crossover.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in this movie. It shows us what initially looked to be a King Kong, but then they zoomed out and showed the proportions were all off. They look more like a giant behemoth orangutan.
Already.
But again, because of the lighting, you can't see the color of the fur, so it could be anything. But it's a creature we've not seen before, and then it zooms out and you see a skull of Godzilla and a skull of King Kong, and then you get the title drop, and it's like, what's going to happen in this movie? It's going to be a big badass monster fight, I fucking hope.
Yeah, should hope so.
But yeah, despite being just a giant orangutan / primate, boy did they make this thing look evil. It's a 45-second long clip. Like, if you want to look it up now. I can't wait to get more details on this film.
Yeah.
Alright, Rick, last but not least, this is not a wrestling podcast.
Oh boy.
Weirdly enough, this story has nothing to do with WWE or AEW.
Okay.
You may remember way back when we first started actually talking about the news that I mentioned how a former wrestler, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, stole a fuck ton of money from charity.
Yeah, this was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, his son, Ted DiBiase Jr., has officially been charged with so much fucking fraud.
Oh boy.
If he is found guilty on only 2 counts, that's 40 years in federal prison.
I mean, if you've done that much fraud, then sure, like...
He's been charged with 6 counts of wiretapping and 5 counts of something else. If he gets found guilty on all of it, he's looking at 100+ years in prison.
Yeah, don't do the crime if you can't do the time, folks.
If you're going to do crime, don't do crime against the federal government, because they will bring the hammer down.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to reiterate what these...
Just do crimes against the people. Just do crimes against the people. Apparently, the government don't care about that.
Oh, this was kind of that as well, though, so that's the icing on the cake, because just to remind you what these guys did, they basically did what Donald Trump did, in that they ran charities, they accepted federal money in the millions of dollars to assist these charities and give help to those who are struggling, and I mean really struggling, like not able to pay for food, struggling, and yeah, so they're meant to do that and provide help, and they didn't do that. They pocketed most of the money by putting up dummy corporations and pocketed it. Ted DiBiase Jr. specifically spent the money on a new car, a new boat, and a house, which you don't need a boat, you don't need a car. I'd argue you need a house, but you certainly don't need one that's worth millions of dollars. Yeah,
you basically don't need 2 homes. Like, 1 home, cool. 2 homes, you want to be a landlord. And as we all know, landlords are scum.
Yeah, boy, there was a video from Ireland literally 2 days ago, Rick, of a landlord who went to his tenant's house with a fucking... It's not a chainsaw, it's not an angular saw, it's a circular saw, that's the word. Sorry, I was listing things out to try and eliminate what it wasn't so I could remember what it was. It was a circular saw, and he just starts cutting into the door. The tenant, with his camera, rightly so, opens the door while filming and goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And the guy says, "I haven't had my rent for X amount of months. I'm getting you the fuck out of here," because he's Irish and old and a bastard. And the guy's just like, "Okay, I'm gonna come." This is how Irish these people are. This guy goes, "I'm gonna phone the Garda." And he goes, you call the fucking Garda. And while saying that, lunges at him with the circular saw. And the guy filming goes, "Alright, get get the fuck away right now, because that's a saw and you can hurt people. The guy has now been arrested, the landlord, because he threatened to cut someone with a circular saw. Cannot stress how fucked up that is.
Yep.
And I didn't understand it in the video because his Irish accent is so fucking thick. But the guy who he was talking to is Pakistani.
Okay.
And the Irish fella, the landlord, was like, I've got a Koran in my car and I'm going to burn it. And it's just like, what? Oh, so you're adding racial hate crimes to your attempted murder crimes.
Yeah.
For a bit of money.
Especially if it happened, like, recently, because, like...
Rick, he got arrested the other day.
Yeah, like, today, on the day of recording, is Eid, so the end of Ramadan. So at the time of recording, it's still Ramadan. At sundown, it becomes Eid.
Oh, by the by,
so,
I don't know if the fella is actually Muslim or not. All I know is that he's Pakistani.
Okay.
Like, just because
if he's Pakistani, it's like 99 times out of 100 you're Muslim if you're from Pakistan.
Yeah, but he's also a surgeon, so he might not be practicing.
Sure.
Well, you said it yourself that if you have a job that requires concentration, you don't have to observe it or something, right?
You don't have to, but a lot of the times they do, just in solidarity with everyone that does.
Okay, but if you're a surgeon and you're cutting people up, you probably should have high blood sugar. Well, not high blood sugar, the correct amount of blood sugar.
Hydration is the big one as well.
Oh, there you go.
You're not allowed to basically let anything pass your lips, which means, if it's a heat wave and you're dehydrated, like, that's a real easy way to lose concentration.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, it's one of those where they even interviewed the tenant in the thing, and what actually happened with the money is the tenant had issues paying the money, and he contacted the landlord saying, this is what's happening, you come round and sort it out. And to top it all off, Rick, the tenant was putting all the money to one side that he owed in rent, so that when the issue was fixed, he could just pay it.
Yeah.
So there was no need for any of this in the first fucking place. Now, don't get me wrong. Even if your tenant isn't paying you rent, which by the way, I strongly believe that rent is theft. But that's neither here nor there. Even if your tenant isn't paying you rent, that is not an excuse to go to their house with a fucking saw, cut their door open, and then threaten to murder them.
There's no end of agreement here.
Anyway, all that to say is Ted DiBiase Jr. is a scumbag and fuck landlords. Right, that does it for news, Rick. I'm going to now throw it over to Past Us for a hypothetical question, and then we're going to watch the Earl of Lemongrab debut episode, which, spoiler alert, guys, features us doing a lot of screeching as we try to mimic that annoying voice.
Yeah, it's one of the voices that I definitely know that I definitely can't do. Like, pretty much all of the SpongeBob voices I can do, because they're all easy. But when it comes to Lemongrab, nah.
So, take it away, Past Us.
Enjoy Adventure Time. Nonsense, asinine hypotheticals. I guess it's my turn to ask you first, seeing as you're the host this week.
If you want, that's fine.
So, my one is, imagine we are still in the prime of Adventure Time, and they are still making new Adventure Time stuff, and new games in particular. What side character would you like to see an Adventure Time game focus on as the player character?
Lumpy Space Princess.
Yeah. Adventures in Lumpy Space. That'd actually look real cool.
Like, for real, it's the easiest option to go for. I don't know how you'd make it work. I'd probably make it like Katamari Adventure, where she's got to collect a bunch of shit by rolling a big old wad of gum or some shit. I don't know. You could equally make it a puzzle game where you got to infect the entire world with lumpiness, because that's apparently how that works.
Oh no, Lumpy Space is kind of smooth.
I can't remember who voices LSP, but I feel like, if I'm remembering correctly, it is just a creator taking the piss.
I think it is just Pendleton Ward.
Yeah.
Lumpy. I'm too hot for you.
No, Jason, don't cheat on Jessica with me. Oh, like, LSP is so fucking annoying, but she's used so sparingly that she's always funny.
Yep. But yeah, do you have one for me?
Okay, Rick, congratulations. You get to pick any band to do a guest song for Adventure Time. Who do you pick? And how do they get incorporated into said episode?
I kind of would like to see, like, an actual full flashback episode to Billy in his prime.
Okay.
And for that, I would probably have some metal band. I think Ailstorm would be very good at this, for doing a Billy in his prime theme song reprise.
I don't know, man. I think Ailstorm's style is a bit different, but if you think you could make it, if they could make it work.
Yeah, like, if it was Billy on the High Seas for an episode, along with, what's his...
Oh, just making up lore, okay.
Yeah, but like for like one adventure on the high seas for this one episode.
Yeah, sure. How long would this song last? Because an episode's only like 11 minutes long. So would you have it like be a 30-second burst, or would you have it be a full-on song?
I'd have different, like a big 30-second burst, and have like a couple of 10-second like additional verses that pop up throughout the song as the lyrics now fit what has happened.
I don't know how that. I don't think that'd work very well. But hey, fair enough.
Yeah, and then it goes over little montages of what's happening right now.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I would do. Ailstorm for a Billy flashback on one big adventure.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Specifically on a boat, potentially a shit boat. But
yeah, a shit boat.
yeah, as we said, today we're watching Adventure Time. We're watching the debut of a character whose actor has been cancelled. And yeah, I'm going to throw it to Rick.
Yeah, we're watching Adventure Time Season 3, Episode 5, Too Young. If you'd like to join us along at home, it's 3, 2, 1, and go.
Yeah, so before we stop, fuck me, that's loud. Why is it always so much louder than I'm expecting it to be? Yeah, while looking up the episode for this particular character, it showed off the voice actor, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't know Justin Roiland was even in Adventure Time.
Yeah, and then when you think about Lemongrab, yeah, it fits. Because this was the first character that I knew of that was a Justin Roiland character. But also, this is in a series of Lich episodes. This comes after Princess Bubblegum was possessed by the Lich and exploded.
Which is an episode I don't think I ever saw. However, I do remember the ending of it, because the ending of it, I believe they had a scientist come out with PB and go, okay, so Princess Bubblegum is now 13, and you just cut to the Ice King and just goes, alright, I'm out. Which is good. The Ice King is a horrible, irredeemable monster, apart from the fact that he's clearly suffering from some sort of mental illness. But he's not a pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
He has a line he won't cross.
Meanwhile, Finn is 13.
Yeah, that's why he's super hyped, because one of the reasons why PB doesn't get with Finn is because PB is too old for Finn.
Yeah, she's like 900. Minimum.
Never drink anything from a beaker.
No.
Hey, Cinnamon One. I fucking hate Lemongrab so much.
You're meant to.
Just hearing it now, it's just Morty. You can hear Morty in that voice.
Yep. Yeah, I think this is where he first got his chops as doing his scream.
That's fair. Yeah, but you wrote the fucking lore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she made him just for such a transition such as this.
Hey, remember when we told you that PB is a war criminal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she made him and he was a bit much.
The best kind of leader.
Yeah. It's just the one where we get "You really smell like dog buns."
I don't know. Listen, the lemon tail on the lemon camel is really making me feel uncomfortable.
Man, Kid PB is really fun.
What is it? Carl Pilkington doesn't like earplugs because he can hear his art.
I can just imagine it in his voice and all. Because I can hear me art.
Look at this fucking Wallace and Gromit bullshit!
Yeah.
It's literally just to show a message that say you smell like... Yeah, there you go, you got it.
Yeah, you really smell like dog buns.
I just like the fact that he's got to put glasses on for something that close.
Yeah.
Don't forget that Peppermint Butler is one of the most terrifying creatures in this universe.
Yeah, he's one of the movies after the series ended was just Peppermint Butler's reincarnation becoming the new Super Peppermint Butler.
Oh, okay. I remember during the whole vampire, like, I don't know if it was his own series or it was a mini-series or something, where he was left in charge of the house while Marceline and PB were doing some bullshit.
Yeah.
And there was one of the vampires came to the thing and he was like, "Can I come in?" And Peppermint Butler was like, "No." And the vampire was like, And then Peppermint Butler started laughing and going, "Oh, you're one of those vampires! Ha ha ha! Da da da! Da da da!" And then he let slip that Marceline and Princess Bubblegum aren't home, so the vampire leaves, and then Peppermint Butler's just like, "Oh shit, no, come back! Look, I'm outside the house!" I love this prank! Let's dress as ghosts and then beat the shit out of him! I feel a bit bad for Lemongrab here. Yeah,
hey,
sorry,
you see he's taking it on the chin. Or pretending to.
It's a bit weird that he's got a lime on his belt.
Well, apparently lemons are just really inbred limes.
Not strictly correct, but okay.
Oh.
I don't know how to cook. That is... it's annoying because it's so true. The amount of people who don't know where shit is. Like, this is a hyper-specific example where the super rich actually don't know how to make their own food. Like...
Yep.
But, like, even not using that as an example, you've got a lot of people who don't know what cows are. Man, PB taking it like... Not PB, Peppermint Butler taking it like shit. Peppermint Butler could be shortened to PB as well.
Yep. P-Bubs. They're both P-Bubs as well.
Yeah.
Oh no, I guess Peppermint Butler is more Pep Butt.
Yeah. So fucking evil. Oh. We as viewers know that Lemongrab deserves it. However, it is a bit harsh.
It is harsh.
And it becomes even more harsh in retrospect because PB can become the right age at any time, as we learn by the end of the episode. She just didn't want to.
Yeah, because she was having fun.
I do remember there was a brief period of time where people were quoting that all the goddamn time.
Yep. 1 million years dungeon! Yep.
But no one could quite get that really fucking screechy aspect to his voice right.
Nope. I'm not even trying.
Please don't, because it'll fuck up the fucking recording as well.
No.
This is quite grim, this bit. It's a cartoon, so it don't matter, but it's really fucked up.
And they're all candy people, so she can repair them eventually.
To be
I forgot
fair,
about this part.
to be fair, my brain went, why would you do a bit with your eyeball on?
Yeah.
Oh. I like to think that isn't true, and that she just did it because she wanted to throw Finn a bone.
Yeah. But she is blushing.
True.
It's difficult to fake that.
I think it's one of those where if Finn was old enough, PB might have had a thing with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be why there's a bit of regret here. Man, he's like fucking Cooch height.
Yeah.
Okay. All I can see is Callie. Specifically when she says, "You're fired, you butt." That sounds like something Callie would do.
Yeah, totally. Especially to one of the other gen mates who's been like hired as a temporary gag manager.
Yeah.
Or, Ollie.
That's really insensitive of PB. Because I know it's not even been 5 years for her. Like, it happened instantaneously. I don't know how time works when you go through a growth spurt like that. But she knows that only happened about an hour ago at most for Finn.
Yeah.
Jake's advice is always pretty good.
Yeah. However...
No, not this time.
Yeah. I mean, Jake does have the experience of winning the heart of a lady. Specifically, Lady Rainicorn.
Yeah, except in this example, his advice is crap because he was just saying what he was doing in the video game.
Yeah.
See Beemo getting really annoyed that Jake was resting his feet on her.
Maybe.
I like the ending theme to Adventure Time a lot more than the opening.
Yeah, because it's more of a thing that you can put on your iPod and, like, people don't necessarily know it's the Adventure Time ending, apart from people that obviously
Sorry, was that dude's name Ted Tedford?
Man, 2011.
Oh, this show's 11 years old. Older than that, because this is, like, season 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the end of Lemongrab's first episode. What did you think?
I think it's one of the more fun ones, because you've got your antagonist who is very easily defeated by telling him that he's fired.
Yeah.
And also, he's not just a one-part character, he does show up again in future.
There's like 5 Lemongrabs I found out, by the way.
Oh yeah, there's fucking loads. There's Lemongrab 2, which is his clone that he makes, and then he makes a bunch of fucking lemon children, and then he eats them all.
So that's the Vor episode.
Yeah, Fat Lemongrab is like the big Vor episode.
Oh no. That's a sentence I didn't want to hear, Rick. I know I started the fucking ball rolling, but I instantly regretted it.
But yeah, how about you? What do you think?
Yeah, it was a good episode. I was worried that nostalgia goggles might have made this episode better in my head than it was, but it holds up.
Yeah.
It does hold up. Lemongrab is a fucking annoying character, and he's meant to be, so fair enough.
He's so much fun to watch because of how annoying he is.
I wouldn't say it was fun to watch. It's fun to watch him fail, but like even then there was like him getting just beaten up in the hall. Like, yeah, he kind of deserves it for being a bit of a jerk, but at the same time I felt bad for him because he was crying.
Yeah,
because he didn't understand why it was happening to him.
Yeah, most of the comeuppance for him being a jerk is him not having learned that he's being a jerk.
Yeah. It kind of sucks.
He's like a massive man baby who happens to be a lemon.
Okay, Rick, favourite moment?
I'd say it's the Rube Goldberg machine of cut the rope, Wallace and Gromit shit, just for the reveal of you really smell like dog buns.
Thank you for using the proper name, because I knew it had a proper term, but in my heart of hearts, it's just Wallace and Gromit shit.
Yeah. I remember there used to be like a really old video game that you could fit on a floppy disk. It was called The Incredible Machine, and you could just make like machines like that to achieve tasks, and it was really cool. But yeah, that's a little tangent. How about you? What was your favourite moment?
Favourite moment was, because I'm a sappy bollocks, PB and Finn having that hug, because I like it when Finn succeeds in his love life, because, hey, guess what? It doesn't fucking happen a lot.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Like, jeez. days. But yeah, we can't only talk about the good, we got to talk about the bad. Rick, do you have a weakest link for me?
I think the weakest link is that Lemongrab wasn't allowed to learn from his mistakes. He's obviously somewhere on some spectrum somewhere, and it's rather insensitive that the cast, even though they're kids, don't kind of work around that, you know?
Well, PB is the most egregious offender here because she created Lemongrab, and then when Lemongrab fucked off because he had some sort of immediate crisis, PB made no efforts to track him down and educate him.
Yeah, I think she basically Princess Fiona'd him. She put him in a tower and let him rule his little lemon earldom and made sure that meant nothing.
It's one of those where he didn't have, if I recall correctly, he doesn't have any subjects as an earl.
No.
So much so, the second episode, they put some candy people in the earldom so he has people to manage, and he can, in theory, learn, except he's a dick.
Yeah.
he keeps putting them in the dungeon and then experimenting on them, and by the end of the episode, they take all the candy people out and give him the clone, and the two have each other, and they have a real weird self-cessed romance moment.
Yeah, they keep poking each other in the face.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was your weakest link?
My weakest link is very much the same in that Lemongrab, he's annoying, but no one ever tells him he's annoying. Part of that is his own fault, to be fair, because just by asking a question, you get sentenced to 3 hours dungeon.
Yeah.
And as we know, Scruffy the janitor won't make it from jail.
Oh, Scruffy can't go to jail again.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I forget what the character's actual name is, but he's just Scruffy in Adventure Time form.
I think that was Pops, but yeah.
I don't think he is called Pops, but whatever. It's not important, you know. It sucks that Lemongrab doesn't get educated, but he also doesn't do himself any favours because he doesn't allow himself to get educated. Last but not least, Rick, we always like to end on a highlight. Who is your MVP?
I might still have to give it to Lemongrab because I think he's a lot of fun to watch when he's going off on one, and the number of people that would quote it, like you say, it meant that he made an impression. And even then, like, there was like Lemongrab compilations, and most of the best moments of Lemongrab were from this episode. So yeah, I'm giving it to Lemongrab, the Earl of Lemongrab. How about you? Who's your MVP?
I can't fault you for your decision because he really did make the episode. However, I'm giving it to Peppermint Butler because there is nothing funnier than he's eating the dirt. Spice the dirt!
And he also really did power through getting spice in his eye.
If Lemongrab was just a little bit more intelligent, that wouldn't have worked. But yeah, hey, kudos to PB, the good PB. They're all evil. But yeah, that does it for today. Don't forget, you got the comment section down below if you're watching on YouTube, if you want to talk to us. If you're not watching via YouTube, but instead listening via one of our many audio platforms, you can instead send us an email at
nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com. Once again, that is nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com.
And thank you very much for joining us for another rainy day episode. Hopefully next week we're back to normal. And yeah, have a good one, guys.
Ta-ra!